and quality assurance of the curriculum. It's about delivering graduates that can meet industry needs. It's about programs that they meet industry business needs. Inclusive wide access to education, which is very much related to e-learning, and use ICT in education and prepare students to become e-citizens. So e-learning is not about learning as such, but it's also preparing the students to be able to cope with the requirements of the digital society that we're living in. A value added to the learning process and the learning achieved. And we experienced, as Nico said, blended learning, flipped teaching, new modes of delivery apart from e-learning. So a hybrid model where it's also a face-to-face interaction with the distance learning process. Okay, European Commission also places a lot of emphasis in the internationalization of education, as I mentioned about before, student and staff mobility, be that virtual or physical mobility. Virtual mobility achieved through e-learning. About joint double multiple degrees, project cooperation with industry, and so on. But also very importantly, about informal and non-formal learning. Being able to recognize a learning that has taken place outside of formal education. Okay, how we as University of Nicosia address these directives, these new developments? We have established the first medical school in Cyprus. That was established 4 years ago. We already did have our first graduates with St. George's University of the UK, London. Okay? We are therefore have implemented the knowledge triangle, establishing a very strong consortium of international partners. We have campuses abroad, Germany, Austria, Greece, and Romania, offering higher education and professional degrees. We have more than 2,500 students doing e-learning, have 5 programs, mainly second level, master level programs. We have recently signed agreements with Hellenic Open University to offer joint programs with them. And we expect more than 500 students to join us this fourth semester. And also with the Greek Center for Greek Languages, which is again in Greece, but it's within the Ministry of Education of Greece, and expected to start with 50 students studying, teaching Greek as a foreign language. And of course, with Unic Online, we offer, we have more than 1,000 students studying at the University of Nicosia in Greece. I mentioned the medical school before, which is an international cooperation between the University of Nicosia, St. George's University, one of the top UK universities in medicine, and the Shiva Hospital in Israel, again one of the top hospitals in the Mediterranean area, but also Europe. We have extended this agreement with other partnered hospitals in the USA, Puerto Rico, and also Cyprus and Israel, as I mentioned before. Okay, let me present you now some statistics. I will start with a 2013 report that was published by the European Commission, and that placed a lot of emphasis on teaching. So, the report is about improving the quality of teaching, and not just research. The European Commission wants universities, wants higher education institutions to focus on teaching, to make sure that they produce graduates at the end of the day they can learn and they can meet the industry needs. So, it's about finding a balance between research and teaching, and it's about having also a teaching and learning strategy rather than only a research strategy. It's also about providing the means to the teachers, to the instructors, to be able to keep up with recent developments in pedagogical methods, but also for ICT developments. It's about internationalization of higher education, joint degrees. The Erasmus program is indicative of how the European Commission supports this internationalization. But of course, it's about helping students and teachers being digitally literate and addressing the current needs of the young people. Last year, there was another report, 2014, about new modes of learning and teaching in higher education, about ICT and how it can be utilized in teaching and learning. You can see here how they see now the teacher from the previous icon that I showed you there. It's an extra from the report. With all the digital gadgets, the virtual reality, I will mention later augmented reality, which is even more advanced than virtual reality, that both students and teachers will be able to utilize in the learning process. Of course, this needs that students, but very importantly, teachers, teaching staff, they are very well trained and they have all the competences, and therefore training is needed to be able to cope with the new ways of teaching and learning. There are things changing in higher education. Students are actually now fishing credits, or as Nick was mentioned before, competences now from various sources. And modern universities should be able to address that, should be able to recognize and accredit those credits that universities are taking from various sources, be that MOOCs, be that other sources of education, be that informal learning, for example. And of course, very importantly, that in doing so, we have to make sure that quality is assured. And that is why as a university, we went through very rigorous quality assurance accreditation by the FQL. And we are now seeking from another accreditation from other e-learning accrediting bodies. In that report, I just show you very quickly some extracts that places the responsibility of these changing higher education reforms on the member states. So it's not left to the individual institution to make the changes. The report places and puts emphasis on the member states at national level to drive this change. So it's the responsibility of the member states and institutions to create an environment, incentives to provide flexible learning methods and approaches, reach international markets, achieve internationalization of education, and utilizing ICT in teaching and learning. This is a report and directive from the European Commission, 2014. So, just reading there, ignore innovative modes of teaching and technologies is not an option, nor is a wait-and-see approach. And Europe can no longer rely on students traveling actually to Europe. We should reach the students. The report identifies that Europe has been very slow with regards embracing new technologies and e-learning. There's conservatism and lack of vision across at the national level, but also at the institutional level. And policymakers need to shift into a higher gear. Some other extras from the report focusing basically to admitting that Europe has been slow and really suggesting that both member states and institutions should, put a higher gear in e-learning and distance learning education. A very clear report from the UA showing some interesting results. Only 16% of the member states have a national strategy for e-learning. That's 1 in 7 countries. At the institutional level, things are a bit better. More institutions offer mainly more courses than programs. So there's a higher percentage offering e-learning courses than e-learning programs. But gradually, this is changing as well. There was a question before with regards what kind of degrees or awards are best suited for e-learning. We can see here what kind of qualifications are offered through e-learning programs. And answer the question, architecture and arts and design are at the bottom of the list. So only 4% of the programs offered are within that areas. Interestingly, engineering, informatics are at the top of the list, mainly because people I am an IT person, I'm a computer science person, they don't need so much help in developing their own programs. Of course, they need the pedagogical help, but not the technical knowledge so much to develop programs in their areas. That's one of the reasons why they are top of the list. Any consideration of e-learning for internal quality assurance procedure at your institution? Yes. Under discussion. Have to make sure that quality assurance is there for e-learning programs. Okay, this is about how many institutions offer MOOCs. 12% of EU institutions that took part in the survey offer MOOCs. I will skip the slides and go to the next one as I'm running a bit out of time. There was another report published recently, only last month, the trends, that also touched upon e-learning and provides similar statistics and more up-to-date statistics with regards to e-learning. And you can find that in the trends report by the European University Association. So do have a look at their site. Okay, challenge ahead. I will draw some information from the New Media Consortium and the Duke-Coast Learning Initiative Horizon Report 2015 to address what are the challenges that new model universities face. There are 6 trends, 6 challenges, and 6 technological developments mentioned in the report. I have added in blue the previous 2014 challenges, the trends, challenges, and technological developments identified, and I listed them with the 2015 ones in the areas I thought that are very similar. I will be addressing them one by one, so this is a summary of the challenges, the trends, the challenges, and the technological developments. But as I said, in order to save time, I will be addressing them one by one, most of them. Now, I mentioned before the challenge of reforms, change innovation. Okay, implementing the knowledge triangle, which I mentioned before, innovation, entrepreneurship, knowledge alliances, stakeholders in the learning process, student-centered model, and embracing a business model of operation adapting to customer, student needs, and adopting innovation and flexible approaches. All these apply to learning. We can see some examples of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. Have a look at their site, how universities, very good universities, top universities, have linked with research centers and industry to form and deliver joint degrees. There is a Global University of Network Innovation. K-Innovative is a project supported by the European Commission to enable universities to become more innovative in their operations, but also in terms of delivering their programs and the learning process. Okay. Increase cross-institutional collaboration, both for the policy making but also the implementation by offering joint and double degrees, and offering physical and virtual mobility to students. Again, examples at the policy making level, European University Association, EURASE, EDEN for e-learning, European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EADTU, and Open Education Consortium. Okay. Nikos mentioned personalized learning. It's about personalizing the learning experience of a student using learning analytics. He mentioned most of them, so I will skip the slide to go to some other things that he didn't mention. Children. Okay, so teaching, learning, and research resources that reside in the public domain or have been released under an intellectual property license that permits their free use and repurposing by others. It's about the proliferation of open educational resources. Those who have been involved in some research, some time ago it was called reusable learning objects. Learning objects that are available and free of use for people to use and reuse, change them. And some examples, of course, EDX, the an MIT open source courseware started 10 years ago and developed into EDX with the University of Arizona State University now. Increasing use of blended learning. Again, Nicolau mentioned the hybrid mode of delivery in terms of flip teaching, so both face-to-face and e-learning delivery. And that shows the various approaches from face-to-face to web-based learning with regards to synchronous and asynchronous communication between the students and the teachers. Of course, the new pedagogical approach and e-learning, they require that the learning spaces, physical spaces or virtual spaces are designed. So you cannot really have inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, hybrid learning being taught in a regular class. So clearly, we need different ways of offering students learning spaces, which they provide opportunities for group work and students to bring their own devices and work in the learning spaces environments with the teacher being a facilitator in the learning process. Being able to access through monitors and talk to other people. That's how I was taught programming and software engineering 30 years ago. Of course, there were no flat screens at that time, but still, we have the same labs. And one how can expect to learn software engineering where there's a lot of interaction and group work required being taught in a lab using like that, where you can bring your own laptop and sit in a group and learn software engineering and reuse of open source code using a proper learning environment. As I mentioned before, blending formal and informal learning is very important. Learning that happens outside of formal education at work, at the social environment, should be acknowledged and accredited by modern universities. And improving digital literacy. I don't know how many of you have kids and what were the first words that the kids babysat. I'm sure it was not Google, but this one says Google. And then the kindergarten kids complaining there's no Wi-Fi in the kindergarten and that there are no icons to click on the board. So there's a gap between how kids learn now and how teachers actually teach or facilitate the learning process. And this gap should be minimized. Okay? I will skip personalized learning because Nicolau actually covered very well. Running out of time. I mentioned before competing modes of education. That students will be able to learn from various sources and therefore they want to have their credits or competences accredited. Nikos mentioned competence-based education versus the credit hour system, where you evaluate assess the competency rather than the time needed to achieve that competency. Of course, Nikos covered that, so I will skip that as well. And I'll give you some other examples of universities that offer competency-based education. Northern Arizona University, Cabela University, and so on. Okay. Minerva University is a university that offers a cross-border education where students have to study in 7 cities. And as I said before, we should be able to, as modern universities, recognize the credits of competencies achieved from various sources. There is a need for rewarded teaching. That's another challenge identified in the report, both at the hiring and the progression of teachers. And I will finish with the technological developments that are identified in the report and how this will affect the teaching and learning. And I repeat, Nikos, I'll mention some of them. Bring your own device. The student will bring their own device in the class. There will be no amphitheaters, talking about physical spaces. There will be no places where there will be a teacher lecturing, but it will be more like interactive learning environments. Flipped classroom again, Nikos has mentioned, so I will skip that slide, give you some examples of flipped learning. And I'll go to wearable technology, which is maybe the future of education, but especially in terms of the virtual and augmented reality. There are some commercial products around, the Samsung Oculus and the Microsoft HoloLens, that support virtual and augmented reality. That's the Samsung Oculus, which requires Samsung phone, and you can see virtual reality applications. And that's the HoloLens, a product that is coming very soon from Microsoft that allows augmented reality. Augmented reality is reality augmented with holograms, so it's not like virtual reality where you are isolated from real world. You're actually seeing your real world with holograms around you. How this will happen in education? Well, let me come back to that. I think the lady mentioned that she's from Newton Technologies, adaptive learning. Newton is actually working with Pearson education. They have developed Pearson MyLab mastering. So that's what happens in terms of adaptive learning technologies. So conclusions. Very interesting because Nikos, I didn't know you had your presentation like that. You mentioned Socrates. Of course, I think since Socrates' learning process has deteriorated because this is the class of 4010 before Christ, and it was about inquiry-based learning. Socrates uses a dialectic method of extracting knowledge from the students rather than spoon-feeding them knowledge. And then we became universities. The first university in 1213, Bologna University, the oldest university in Europe. Well, you can see for 8 centuries, things have not changed. And you can see people still sleeping. Not here, but, in classrooms. So what will be the future? To me, it's about augmented reality. That this is, I think, for me, an answering question before, is augmented reality technology that will revolutionize the learning experience of students. To go to the Microsoft Office, I didn't have the video link. It's a 2-minute video. Actually, it's a Microsoft webpage to show you, to see the video about augmented reality and HoloLens. And the way I envisage a physical teaching space to be, you could probably be alone in a room and inviting some holograms and being able, with personalized learning and smart virtual assistants, to achieve the learning objectives. So this is how I envisage the future to be, with augmented reality being the main technological development that will affect education. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pouyioutas. The audience is welcome to ask questions.
Thank you, Professor. We are at 7 minutes into the